Hello, what's going on, everybody? Hey, is anyone like 20 years old in here, or near 20 years old? 19? 21, right? 23 maybe? Yeah. Anyone? 19? 20? You're 19? Okay, so what? It was like a year old? Keys was like a year old when you were born? That's wild. That's a long time, like a really, really long time. So, my name is Joel Casanova. I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of things, and today you'll hear my thoughts on faithfulness. So, being faithful is just being very, like foundational, right? You can always trust in this person, you can always depend on this person. This person is like constantly, unwaveringly for something, right? So God is faithful, yes? Okay, talk over, I'm done. No, so the idea is like we as human beings, we can be faithful with God's help, but we are very fickle people. Yeah, it's like you're like, I want orange juice today, and you're like, here you go, orange juice, and you're like, orange juice is the best drink ever. Then the next day they're like, hey, you want some orange juice? I'm like, no, I would never drink orange juice ever. What? No. Apple juice is the best juice ever. And then the next day they're like, here's your apple juice. I'm like, apple juice? Oh my goodness, how dare you? First of all, grape juice is the best. Yeah, we continually change over and over and over again, right? There's a verse in the Bible that says, without faith, paraphrasing, it's like, without faith, it's impossible to please God. Or maybe it's the reverse. Like, to please God, you must have faith. Something like that. Look that verse up. I'm paraphrasing. Right? The idea is like, if you say like, faith is like juice. Okay? Just roll with me here. Right? God is like orange juice. Because objectively, it's the best juice ever. But, right? Orange juice. And God's like, today, orange juice. When I told your grandfather, I said it was orange juice. When I told his grandfather, I said it was orange juice. All the way back to Jesus, all the way back to Moses, all the way back to Abraham. He's like, it's been orange juice since the beginning. Right? He has constantly been saying the same thing over and over. And like, we have the Bible. It's like 66 books of like proof of how he's been saying the same thing over and over and over again. And so like, it's like, because Abraham had faith, God, it was counted to him as righteousness. So like all the way back into the New Testament, it's like, hey, it's impossible to please God without faith. He's like, I said that with Abraham. It's been the same thing, right? So just as a concept, faithfulness in general, you think of faithfulness as something in the past. So if it's like my spouse, my faithful spouse, things that they have done before me, like my faithful parents who've always done things in the past for me, my faithful dog who has always been there for me, right? It's like always things in the past, right? So it's like there's so many things that have happened before you that show that God is faithful. Like Jesus specifically, like Christ was crucified before the foundation of the world. You can't get any more foundational than that, like before time existed. If you want to go the sci-fi route, right? Jesus was crucified. He's like, I know this is going to happen, and I've already planned for you to have something to get from me, right? To give you something, right? Christ died while we were still sinners. He died for us. It's like, you are actively against me, and I'm giving you something already beforehand, right? All the good things, like we are God's workmanship, right? And it's like, he had made to do good works that he has prepared beforehand for us. So before this has happened, right, he's already prepared, like, okay, I want this person to do this thing at this time, right? Anyone have siblings? Hey? Wow, are you guys homeschooled? What? Yeah, a lot of siblings, okay, right? So anytime you're being kind to your sibling, anytime you're sharing with your sibling, anytime you're being patient with your sibling, that's a good thing that you're doing for them. That is something that God has already prepared for you to do. So he's like, I want to do good things. And God's like, already covered. I already have it in the plan. The very first time I talked here ever, I talked about truth and the idea that everyone has like a list when they're born, right? Like on that list is a bunch of names that you're supposed to impact from the day you're born to the day you die. right? Everyone has a list. You guys are on my list, right? But that list starts as soon as you're born, right? Someone who's like, I'm never going to have kids ever. Nope, it's not going to happen. And then they hold you as a baby, and they're like, that's changing right now. Yeah? You didn't do anything, but you impacted that person. God planned for you to do that. And what did you do? You just existed. You just existed. That's it. That's all you did. Right? So when Jesus was crucified, right, and he died for our sins, he's like, I love this person. And it's like, why? Because he's going to do all these things for me, because he has done all these things for me, because he's such a great person, he has a great sense of style, his shoes are immaculate. No. You just existed, which God was responsible for anyway. But let's ignore that for a second, right? He's like, just because you are who you are, God's like, I'm being faithful to you. Can we give him anything? Can we offer him anything? No. He's choosing to be faithful to us simply because we exist. Right? So that's like the past hand, right? Beforehand. Well, humans love structure. Okay? So, first grade stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. What comes next? Exactly. Okay? Humans' brains and life works in structure and in repetition. Right? So it's like, if this has happened before, this is probably going to happen again. And I like that because it makes me unaware of what's going on. Right? However, humans ourselves are not very structured. Right? We're like, again, the apple juice, the orange juice, the grape juice, every day is a different best juice. Right? God has never changed from the beginning. He's like, I did this. I've always done this. I told you I would do it, and I'm still going to do it. And we're like, are you sure? He's like, yes, I promise. Okay? Right? There's no point where God is going to be like, this is the way to please me. We're like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. He's like, psych, Heisman, it's different today. That will never happen. Ever. Ever. It's impossible for that to happen. Why? Because he chose to be this way and to be faithful at all times. Right? So the structure that keeps coming over and over and over again. So, you have faithfulness beforehand, you have faithfulness afterwards. Faithfulness does not exist in the present. Trust exists in the present. Okay, so like this person has been faithful to me, this person will be faithful to me, but I can trust them right now. Today. In this very moment. I don't have a watch on. Right? But I can trust no matter what they say, even if it makes zero sense to me, because of the faithfulness sandwich in the middle, it's a peanut butter sandwich. That's what you need to know. God's faithfulness is a peanut butter sandwich. Okay? Faithfulness, peanut butter, which is trust. Yes? Yes. Okay? So in the same way, the idea, like, there's this phrase that faithfulness, trust is gained in drops, but it's lost in buckets. Right? So like it's easy to lose trust in someone, but it's hard to gain trust in them over and over. God has thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon millions upon bazillions, that's not even a word, right? Of drops in our bucket. He has years upon lifetimes in one person's life, let alone generations of people. Your faithfulness endures through all generations. Right? So he has generations of buckets of trust that we can then put into the present. Right? If someone was born, you're 19, you're 1 year old when Keys was founded, right? You have 19 years, or 20 years technically, to trust Keys. What's your name? Callie? Right? So Callie has 19 years. If she knew her best friend that was born at the exact same time, right? You have 19 years to know this person. That's so much trust built up in one person. Now imagine that times everyone in the United States. Several centuries back. And you know them for that much time. You're like, we can build trust with people really easily when it comes to the amount of trust that God has built for us.
It's like, yeah, after like a week of summer camp, this guy's my best friend. Let's go. Right? And God's like, I've known you for a lifetime. I knew exactly what was going to happen. And I planned for you to have these great experiences and these great things that I wanted to give to you before you even knew me. That time you were angry at God and you're like, man, I don't know if this guy knows what he's doing. And he's like, I still love you and I'm still giving you these things. I'm preparing these things ahead of time for you. The faithfulness is crazy. Right? So, even when trust is there, there's still this like blindness to it, right? So like I trust my older brother, we're roommates, he is the best. So if I were on the couch sitting, and he comes into the room and he's like, hold out your hand, I'll be like, boom. I have no reason to not trust you. I'm just gonna listen. Right? I don't know why you're telling me to hold my hand, but here's what I'm doing. So God does that to us all the time. Right? He's like, I trust you, but why is this happening? And so obviously, if I don't understand, there must be something wrong with what I know that you do know that I don't know. Right? 2019, I had a space that I was renting out to teach dance. 2019 fall comes, and the people who are like renting the space to me are like, hey, you need to leave. We're changing this space into something else. And I'm like, where am I going to go? And they're like, not our problem. And I was like, great. So I was like looking around for spaces and I was like trying to find out and I'm praying to God. I'm like, why is this happening? What's going on? And he's like silent. I'm like, okay, still looking for places. I'm going to this place. I'm going to that place. And none of it works. And I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? And he's like, hey, you should try video lessons. And I'm like, video lessons? And he's like, video lessons. And I'm like, yeah. Except for, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. There's no way. I won't. You know, especially in the dance space, it's like, I'm just going to put this stuff on YouTube and just shoot it out into the ether, and I have no idea if anyone's going to watch this. That doesn't make any sense. I had a space that I was using to teach dance. Like, what's going on? He's like, bro, video lessons. I'm like, okay, I trust you. So, obviously, you know something that I don't. Okay? So I set up video lessons and I'm doing all this different stuff and I'm preparing for all these things, and all of a sudden 2020 happens. I don't know if you remember 2020. There was like some disease or something. It wasn't really that big a deal. No one really knew about it. I knew about it. But the idea is I set up video lessons and all of a sudden the world shuts down. And I was like, okay, you clearly knew something was happening that I didn't know was going to happen. So all I had to do was like, he's been faithful to me. He will be faithful to me. I can trust him. And then he says, video lessons. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But I'm supposed to listen, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, got it. And then 2020 happens, right? And so that was actually, ironically, the most successful year for my business ever. And God's like, this is what I've set up for you ahead of time to give people the gift of dance and to feel comfortable in their body. They get some kind of exercise while they're trapped in their homes, right? And you had no idea this is a good thing that I wanted you to do. Beforehand, he's been setting up since I was born this faithfulness and this trust in my life to lead up to that moment. There's a lot of other moments, but that specific moment was also one of them. Do you see what I'm saying? And then that was, again, the people I contacted from in the United States as well as outside of the United States that I connected with, because the internet, let's hear it for the internet, right? It's like, because I connected to those different people, there are all people on my list that I was born to impact, that I had no idea I could because I listened to God. Right. That's amazing, right? So there's a very specific, like, Christian-based scenario that we'll get into, right? That we're like, something clicks, and we're like, oh snap, this guy knows what he's talking about. Okay? So I need to listen to this guy. Like, he's like 0 for 100 right now. Like, there's no missed shots. Like, swish every single time. So this guy knows what he's talking about. So I gotta listen. Like, I need to listen to what God has to say to me. And then we kind of do this human thing where we get obsessed. We're like, I gotta listen to what God has to say. Like, what is it that you want from me? I'll do anything. I'll follow you for my whole life. My whole life is dedicated to you. What do you want me to be doing right now? Tell me, please. And we get so obsessed with what God can say to us that we don't realize that the whole point of the faithfulness is a relationship. Right? So the whole idea is like the prodigal son. Everyone knows the prodigal son, right? He was given the money. He was like, I'm going to blow it on all this stuff. And then all of a sudden he's broke. This usually happens, right? And then he's like, okay, so if I can just come back to my dad's house and just be a servant. I'll pretend like I'm not even his son. I'll just be a servant. I'll get some kind of house over my head and clothes on my back kind of thing, right? Like people who are servants at my dad's house feel better than this. And he's coming back and he's like, I just want to be a servant. I just want to do, okay, now that I didn't obey you the first time, I'll obey you now. And so the dad totally could have been like, told you so. I told you not to leave. I told you this would happen, but you didn't listen. So now you have to listen to me because you're my servant. Now you have to. This is your job now. Instead, he totally sideswipes that. He's already looking for his son on the outside. He sees him from a long way off, and he runs to him. And he's like, Dad, I'm so sorry. And he's like, embrace him. You're my son. That's what he wanted the whole time. So we're not just in a relationship with like a best friend or a spouse or a sibling. We're now in a relationship with the most faithful being in the universe. He's a person. He's not a human like us, but he's a person. He has feelings towards us. He's like, I don't want you to be serving these other things because I want you for myself. I want to have you for myself. And I will prove to you, and I have proved to you, how faithful I will be to you, even when you're not faithful to me. The son took the money and left. He's like, peace, I'm out. Right? He's like waiting for him. Like, as soon as this kid comes back, I'm going to love him so hard. We're going to throw a party. It's going to be amazing. He should have been like, well, sucks to be him. Instead, he's waiting. I'm like, why are you being so faithful to this kid who left? Because I love him. God is faithful to us. Not our actions, not our accomplishments, not our failures. He's faithful to us as people. Just like rewinding back to the baby. This baby can do nothing for you. This baby cannot give you anything. This baby can't compliment you. It can't even speak English. And it's like, I will do anything just because you exist. And so as Christians, we get into this thing of focusing on the right thing for the wrong reason. It's like, I want to do everything that God tells me to do. Why? Because I should be doing that, and He's right, and I'm wrong, and I will mess it up if I. God's like, hey, I love you. And from that relationship, out of love and out of faithfulness, then all those things happen. He's like, hey, you know what you should do? You should do video lessons. And he's like, just do it. And then these people that I met, that I now know, I've known for like 4 years, they're like, you don't understand, you changed my life. I'm like, oh man. So instead of focusing on like, let me do the right thing, let me focus on doing what God tells me to do, it's like, I love you, you love me. He's like, yeah. I'm like, I trust you, and you trust me, apparently. He's like, yeah. I'm like, so, what do you want me to do? And it comes from this place of who you are instead of what you have to do for this person, right? So, if you guys can get that song ready, the idea behind this piece that I'm about to do is the response from that place of being like, I just want to know that this is what you have for me, and I don't want to miss it. And God's response of being like, don't give up on me, because we are in a relationship with each other. I want you to trust me. I don't want this relationship to be without trust. This isn't a master-servant relationship. This is a father-son relationship, or daughter. Okay? So.
Tired of striving to feel alive just for a moment. I'm at a loss, working so hard, don't wanna force it. Running for rest and trying to hide this endless devotion. Out of alignment, stuck in my pride, it cost me a fortune. see everything the way that you do. I need you to show what moves you the most. And I don't wanna lose you. I just wanna know, deep in my heart and my soul, is this where you want me to go? I will follow you all of my days, and don't wanna see all my time go to waste. I just wanna know, deep down inside of my soul, is this where you want me to go? I will follow you all of my days, and don't wanna see all my time go to waste. Tired of striving to feel alive just for a moment. I'm at a loss, working so hard, don't wanna force it. I'm running for rest and trying to hide this endless devotion. But out of alignment, stuck in my pride, it cost me a fortune. I see you try, though you can't see me. And I know your thoughts before you even think. I heard every last prayer you prayed, though I answered all the time. You just didn't heed my reply. And I know it's not easy. Don't you give up on me. Don't you give up on me. 'Cause the darker the night gets, the brighter the light is. Don't you give up on me. Don't you give up on me. You ain't seen what I promised. Try, but just getting started. Open your heart, open your hands, open your eyelids. I've got more dreams, I've got more plans, I've got more blessings. Don't lose your hope, don't lose your faith, that's where your fight is. I got more dreams, I got more plans, I got more blessings. Open your heart, open your hands, open your eyelids. I've got more dreams, I've got more plans, I've got more blessings. Don't lose your hope, don't lose your faith, that's where your fight is. I've got more dreams, I've got more plans, I've got more blessings. Don't you give up on me. Don't you give up on me. When the night's at its darkest, when the light is the hardest, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up on me. You ain't seen what I promised. I'm just getting started. Open your heart, open your hands, open your eyelids. I got more dreams, I got more plans, I got more blessings. Open your heart, open your hands, open your eyelids. I got more dreams, I got more plans, I got more blessings. Don't you give up on me. Don't you give up on me.
Thank you so much for your message.